Welcome into the Behind the Wall postgame show. We are here at the Student Bookstore downtown State College live. We got the Nittany Lion mascot. We'll be down here at 11 a.m. So stop on by, bring the friends, bring the family, bring the kids. Me and Big Keith Goon Conlin talking Penn State, Ohio State. 20-13, the Ohio State Buckeyes came in and beat Penn State. Goon. And I think, where we sit right now, it's definitely a bit of a demoralized town at the moment from what I think it could have been.
Sure.
But at the same time, this isn't as devastating as this loss has been in years past, and that's because of the 12-team playoff.
Correct.
And we said this before the game. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, a loss here, it meant everything to James Franklin and the program, and, we haven't beaten Ohio State in a long time. But at the end of the day, it really didn't mean much in the grand scheme of the entire season. But how do you feel this morning? Where are you sitting at?
This, and that is, to all the Penn State fans, it did happen. The sun did rise today, as much as we thought it wasn't going to rise today. And it's truly, it's demoralizing is what it is at times. But then you know what? You wake up and you say, it's a football game. We're here. We're all alumni. We're all fans of the team. That's why we're here. That's why I live here. That's why you work. You're going to move here. You're staying here. All of that stuff. You got to take the good with the bad, man. And, the good with the bad is, the good is that we're still good. And I'm, how do you say I'm frustrated, but I'm also not broken? You know what I mean? We went out 4 games. We're going to be in the exact same position we would have been if we won yesterday. And that is, if we'd won out, beat Ohio State and won out, we'd play Oregon in a Big Ten title game. Then have a week off, and then have, if we win or lose, depending on getting another week's bye. So is it really bad that we're not going to play in the Big Ten title game? We win out, and we're still going to host a playoff game. I mean, we're projected to win a home playoff game. Now, we're not going to have a marquee win on our
That is the thing.
On the docket.
Who is our biggest win
right now is Illinois.
It's an unranked Illinois. I mean, Illinois is going to be.
You said Illinois got spanked yesterday.
Exactly. Illinois got
Minnesota.
Who was that? Minnesota.
You said Minnesota.
No. Yes. Minnesota beat Illinois.
Washington beat USC. And we're talking next week already, and that is that the sun came up this morning. We're playing the 1-0 game. Yeah,
Yep.
I'm a big believer in that you got to leave it behind. They're going to watch the film this morning and this afternoon, and then it's on to Washington. You got to beat a very good Washington team who's peaking right now. They're going to come in here next week, a just announced 8 p.m. game.
8 p.m.
We
whiteout.
can talk about our being behind a paywall when we get done here a little bit later. But we play a tough Washington team, and then we can play a Purdue team, and then a Minnesota team, and then a Maryland team at home. So run the table. You're 11-1. You don't have these marquee wins and this and that, but you're still 11-1. 7-point loss to Ohio State's going to come into play. But if we finish out 11-1, I still believe that we host a game.
Yeah. Some people are saying you have no good wins. You might not even be in the playoffs. You're making the playoffs. A one-loss team is making a 12-team playoff every single time.
Yes. So,
but no,
a school like Alabama with 2 losses right now, they lost to Vanderbilt. So they're going to try and say that Alabama should be ahead of us. No.
Right.
No.
It's sometimes it's an untimely loss. Like if you have a late loss,
yes,
that hurts you so much more than if you have a loss you shouldn't have early in the season and you get to kind of build back from it.
No doubt. So back when I was playing in Atlanta in the 80s and then in the 90s when I was here, it was all in when you lost. So I know I'm gonna date you right now, and I'm gonna say to you, in 1993, the year before we got screwed for the national title in 1994, by the way, I mentioned 1994 every show. I personally try to do that.
I think the fans know that.
So I just wanted to let you know. So in 1993, Notre Dame, as the number 2 team in the country, upsets the number 1 team in the country in Florida State. At Notre Dame, they beat Florida State. So Notre Dame is now the number 1 team in the country. The next week, Notre Dame is completely upset by an unranked Boston College team on a last-second field goal coached by Tom Coughlin. They go on, win all of their games. Florida State wins all of their games. Notre Dame wins all of their games. They both win the bowl games, and they declare Florida State national champions. Now, they played head-to-head in the season. Notre Dame beat Florida State, but Florida State wins the national title because of the time. It was 1 week difference of when they lost that game.
I would
think about that.
I would protest that every day.
Absolutely.
That's
So we
they got robbed more than you guys got
we
robbed.
We complain about Tom Osborne and then them, trying to get a national title to Tom Osborne in 1997. The epitome of that is getting Bobby Bowden his national title in 1993, where he lost a head-to-head matchup with Notre Dame. Head-to-head. They played during the season. They both ended up 11-1, and yet they still gave Florida State that. That's just where the politics came into play. But that just gives you any indication of how it's when you lose, not who you lose to. It's when you lose. You know, because you could drop back. We're probably going to be what were we 3 this week? We're probably going to be 7 or 8 right now, probably. And then we got to work our way back up into that top 5 or 6.
Yep, you're absolutely
what I mean?
right.
That's what's going to happen. It's about when you lose games, and it's. The more things change, the more they stay the same. So we're literally right back to where we were in the 80s and 90s. And at least now we don't have politicians and sports writers deciding who our national champions are. We're going to have a playoff. So
yeah, that's looking back when you put it like that. It's pretty insane how they decided the national champion.
I know
in
you
college.
weren't, but I'm just beating a dead horse of because I was talking about it on my show with Ironhead the other day. Just unbelievable how it's going right back to it. And then okay, every sport that is played at the collegiate level at every Division I, 1AA, Division II, Division III, NAIA, junior colleges, guess what they have? Every sport, field hockey, lacrosse, baseball, softball, basketball. Everybody has a tournament to end the year. Division III does. Division II football does. Division I AA football does. The biggest moneymaker in the collegiate atmosphere is college football, and they never had a playoff for it.
Well,
think about it.
Guess they wanted to rig it,
Who had that power?
They got to decide.
Was it the bowl? Was it the people who ran the bowls that said we're not going to get rid of these bowls? Was it a big tax loophole? Trying to think of. I don't understand.
I guess they wanted to dictate it. They said, all right.
Who the bowl? The bowl? People who run the bowls?
I don't know. The people.
The people behind
yes. When you say when you're talking about the government, that's what I mean for this. People wanted to dictate it, I guess. But
it's unbelievable when you think about it. Every division at collegiate level plays a playoff to end the season, except the most lucrative sport out there, and that was collegiate football. Yeah,
it takes the NCAA a long time to fix anything. But yeah, let's get into this Ohio State Penn State game for a second.
Sure, Bubba.
I think the two biggest pieces of the game. Let's start off with the first one.
Let's start off with getting there.
You're inside the 5 yard.
Let's get into the day before we get into
all right, let's get into the day a little bit. Let's get into the day.
What time did you get to the tailgate?
I got to the tailgate around, was that 8 a.m.?
Okay. I got there at 6:40. And I'm not lying to you, dude. There was 3,000 people there because I parked. My tailgate spot was right next to the game day, right next to the Fox thing. So actually, my one buddy called it Goon's tailgate's pretty much like the Gaza Strip right now. It's like the two warring factions, and we're in the middle getting blown away. So 6 o'clock and then 6:40 in the morning, there's 3,000 people walking around that area. And I was just and the music is level 38, unbelievably loud. Everybody's and I'm it's not even 7 o'clock in the morning. And I start grilling and we set up our tailgate and stuff like that. And I'm telling you right now, the atmosphere yesterday was unbelievable. Unmatched.
Yeah, when I stepped out onto my front porch and I could just feel the energy in the air. And it felt
smell, the crisp in the air.
It could have been one of those days that everybody remembers.
Yes.
And it also could have been, you win this game and you're talking about this could be a team that people remember with an 82, an 86, a 94, an 05. Yep. But, obviously that goes right down the drain. Not necessarily.
Yeah, it's not.
But
it's not
all the way.
I just sat there yesterday amongst all my people after the game. You were doing your show, and it was just I just want to have that tailgate again where we're out here not beating Bowling Green, Kent State, Northwestern, Minnesota. I just want to come out here after an Ohio State victory or a Michigan victory or, one of those. And I haven't had that.
It's been a while. I guess 2019 Michigan game was the last one.
Dude,
that's what sold me.
You ready for this?
What's that?
You know what our record is against Ohio State in the Big Ten? I'm embarrassed.
What is it?
They've won 23 of 31 matchups.
23 of
We're
30.
8-23 versus Ohio State since we joined the Big Ten.
Well,
that's bad, man. That's bad. And then
that's not no.
Ohio State is the only school we played every year.
That stops next year.
No, I thought
right.
Some guy yesterday. Yeah, I thought it did too.
Are we playing?
Yeah, they said that we're at Ohio State. And the guy from Ohio State who came to my tailgate. By the way, this is how small the tailgate world is. Me and my buddies go out to Austin, and our bus go out to Ohio State last year to Columbus. We parked next to this guy in the Winnebago lot. He has a fire truck, bright red, all this stuff. He's got smokers in the engine. It's unbelievable, right? We get talking to him and this and that. He's out with us Friday night. He comes to the tailgate. He's there at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning with us. Yeah, that's how you make friends, And he's like, hey, listen, man, you guys told me we don't play you guys next year, but here he goes, look, and he pulled up the Ohio State schedule. I was like, damn, we do play you. I thought for sure we did not play Ohio State, but we're out there, and he was like, I got you. We're gonna get the tailgate going. You guys showed us. I mean, he's trying to tell us like he's never seen anything like that in his life, tailgate wise, and he really did.
Oh, okay. So we do not play Michigan again next year, but now we have Oregon at home next year. We have Nebraska at home.
Look at our home schedule.
Indiana at home, at Ohio State, at Iowa.
Look at those first 3 games, buddy.
Dude. Nevada, FIU, and Villanova. Wow, a real heater to start off Penn State season next year. Not to look ahead at all, but yeah, having Ohio State, Indiana, Nebraska, and Oregon, and maybe Rutgers if they're all decent. That's a little bit of a harder schedule next year. But no, I mean,
we don't have a good home schedule.
No,
it's a tough road schedule.
So,
but I'm just saying that how I meet these guys from Ohio State, him and his wife come in there. Just a good time. They had a great time yesterday. They were like, "This is an amazing atmosphere." I mean, I couldn't. You literally. You could not make the atmosphere we had yesterday.
No, you can't.
Not just the game. I'm saying like the pregame festivities.
And shout out Guido. Shout out Guido
with the whiteout.
He's the one that not even just whiteout. He did that, but he created what a game day atmosphere was. I got to sit down with Guido and the marketing branding genius behind Penn State, and got a whole just in depth.
Delia.
Yes. Guido. Delia. Yes, he was the creator of the whiteout, and I have a video coming out with him this week, kind of get you guys ready for the Penn State whiteout.
Yeah, he took us to the next level when it came to marketing and stuff like that.
Yeah, and everybody tried to kind of copy us. We were the first ones to do, I mean, it's obviously Zombie Nation, but we were also the first ones to really do like highlights on the Jumbotron and like the hype videos. Like that was Guido, a lot of that stuff.
You got to realize that when I was here, and we're getting a lot of messages here from guys who've been coming here a long time, and that is, you can read them. So a lot of people, I mean, I'm telling you, the atmosphere in Penn State in the 80s and 90s was great in the parking lots, but the game atmosphere was not all that. It really isn't like it is today. A lot of the pomp and circumstances, but we had the "We Are" chant and the wave used to go on, but that was pretty much the highlight of the game day experience, game experience. And then with Guido, what he bought in there and all that stuff. So
yeah, no, absolutely. No, I just want to mention someone in the comments. Steve says, guys, this is the deflating loss that can start a snowball with a charged up Washington, and then being away at Minnesota.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is
it's one of those like.
Yeah, like it has you cannot, if you're within that locker room. Yes, there's a fork in the road, and there is an avenue that you can go. And 2021, we thought we were going to go undefeated, and then you drop one to Iowa that really hurts, and that was 3 versus 4, and then next thing you know, we lose to an Illinois team at home. That would be eerily similar to 2021 if we were to say lose to Washington this weekend. Just from a standpoint of how the season outlook was, and then you lose 2 games. I don't mean to get ahead of ourselves. I'm just saying.
I'm just laughing because I have a great Illinois story from the 2021.
Oh, no.
You don't want to know.
Yeah, I probably don't.
So remember how it rained in the middle of all day that day? So I'm wearing flip-flops like I do normally, and they were older and they were a little slippery. So we left and went to the Loop to watch the game.
Quickest thing
I stood up, and my flip-flop was wet. And I spun, and my knee buckled, and I fell. And you know where the car is on this thing?
Yeah.
Those big red pipes that hang down? I popped my nose right off of that.
Ooh.
Broke my nose, gave myself a concussion. So guess who doesn't remember anything from that 9 overtime game?
Well, you're really lucky then, Goon. That was the greatest
I'm lucky I didn't
game.
need facial reconstruction, but I'm also lucky I didn't get to watch that crap.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, we will listen.
Is that an Ohio State, Penn State blended shirt?
Yeah, half and half it looks.
How is that?
Yeah, that doesn't work at all. We are at downtown here at the student bookstore, and someone has a half and half Ohio State, Penn State jersey. I don't know where you get that off the black market somewhere, because that is not something that should be sold
That's
out
like,
in public.
like Kyrgyzstan, marketplace or something like that. Like, holy crap, man!
Yeah, we got a lot going on. It's starting to heat up downtown State College. Everybody's starting to get up a little bit, but we're going to take a break. We are down here at the student bookstore downtown. Come visit. Me and Goon are always here Sunday mornings after home games, 10 to 11 a.m. And then the Nittany Lion mascot follows that up. Whoa. No one really cares. You know, me and Goon are up here, and then the Nittany Lion mascot gets out there. The line
doesn't matter
for him. It wraps around the corner. So bring the kids, bring the family out here to the student bookstore downtown.
Goon, why is the lion a him?
Well, because I know who the Nittany Lion mascot is, so would never share anything about that. But
is the lion a male or female?
Well, I guess it would depend on the year, but
not the person in it.
Oh well, is it? I don't know. I guess we'll see. I think the Lions, dude. The Lions.
Your generation is the weird one, not
mine.
No,
no, I don't. You know what? I don't claim anything. I'm my own person. We'll be right back with me and Goon. Penn State, Ohio State postgame. We'll be right back after this short break.
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Habaker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Habaker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Habaker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going.
Welcome back into the Behind the Wall.
Whoa.
Pop back in the frame.
Whoa.
Welcome back into the Behind the Wall post-game show. Me and Big Keith Goon Conlin breaking down Penn State, Ohio State. Goon.
Breaking is right.
Yeah, breaking for sure. Breaking.
Obviously, reading a lot of the comments here, there's a lot of broken people out there.
Yeah, well, you know what's funny? After the game, I'm walking back from Medler, shout out 514. Walking back from Medler over to my family's tailgate, and this just poor soul, he was probably a student here.
Wait, your family was here and you didn't invite me over?
No.
Are you ashamed of me?
My here family.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I was going to say, are you ashamed of your Uncle Goon?
My Uncle Goon. Yeah, Uncle Goon might be someone you just keep in the house for the weekend.
Just bring him out when there's a party, he'd be all right. But normally he's not. Yeah, you can't trust him.
I mean, the fans were kind of just wandering, heads down,
Yeah, man.
and there was this college kid. He looked at me, and it was like he just looked and recognized. He was like, "Landon, what happened?" And he was drunk and just sad, and I was like, "I don't know what to tell you."
Ohio State fought like a wounded dog yesterday.
They did.
And they were the number one team in the freaking country coming into the season. And they proved that they are the number one team in the country. I'm not going to lie. I mean, yes, we wanted to win that game. But that is the number one team in the country we just played yesterday. I mean, I know that they lost to Oregon and all that stuff, but
very close.
Man, we've had worse games where we've gotten our doors completely blown in and then didn't match up with them. And then this one hurts because it hurts about as much as the 14. What was it? We lost a 14-point lead a couple
15-point lead against at Ohio State in 2017.
See, that hurts. That one hurt. But yesterday hurt because it was 10-0 just quick.
Yeah, it felt like, okay, this is a game. And I think everybody really got their hopes up into that one. It was like, okay, this is a game that we can win this. And this can change the trajectory of Penn State for the rest of a long time. And how when people think, and like we just talked about this at the beginning, this game meant everything to how people think and how they look at us and how they address, just the past 10 years at Penn State. And being able to get a win yesterday would have meant a lot.
Yes.
But in the grand scheme of things, if you go on and you win, you win a national championship, do people remember this game? But also at the same time, I think it's hard for Penn State fans to even want to necessarily go there, because it's like, hey, don't talk about a national championship if, you're still struggling getting over the hump. So I guess, that is something that I can definitely concede. I understand if that's a little bit of your argument. But at the same time, any given Saturday, that's what we've seen this season. I mean, that is really this new NIL transfer portal era. It is any given Saturday that anybody can win. It feels a lot more like that than it has in years past, at least.
Next thing you're going to say that Vanderbilt can beat Alabama. Is that what you're going to try and tell me?
Something crazy like that, Goon. Or a couple. We had some other really. No, I'm telling you.
Yes, it was frustrating that losing that 10-point, but this game meant everything to Ohio State. If they had lost the second game, yes, they'd still be in the playoff, but they would not be hosting a playoff game. They would be in the back end of the playoffs.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, Ohio State's going to get in with two. If they had lost yesterday, they were still going to get in the playoffs, and if we lost, we're still going to get in the playoffs.
I have a question,
but it just means it meant more to them because they had already had a loss. What's up?
You think we can lose another one? Still good?
No, we do. Because Ohio State's 2 losses would have been the number 1 team in the country, Oregon, and then if we had beat Ohio State yesterday, I guarantee we jumped to 2. So their 2 losses would be the 1 and 2 in the country. So it was again, it's who you lose to and when you lose to them. Now we got to get back to that thinking and that realization. So now, again, I'm not sitting there saying I'm not upset about yesterday because everybody's upset about yesterday. But the sky rose this morning. We still have everything ahead of us, and that is what we wanted to do, accomplish this season was playoffs or bust, right? Is that not it?
Absolutely.
That was the thing about playoffs or bust. Now, again, nationally, the adage will be, well, Franklin can't win a big game, and this and that. And then yesterday, like you just said, yesterday was that chance to get rid of that stigma. And it didn't happen, but okay, it is what it is. So all we could do is push forward, go through, and that is that we got good leaders. I mean, you look at that 2016 Rose Bowl team, and I will tell you, no, it was the second year Rose Bowl team.
2022.
Dude, I got to ask you, how good? Hey, you guys want to buy some gear? Jeez. It ain't that cold in Virginia Beach, man. Damn. So, your Rose Bowl year that you guys won.
Oh, leadership.
I mean, the leadership on that team is what got you there.
Absolutely
and
was.
I'm, doing our show on Monday nights at the golf course. Shameless plug, by the way, 6 to 7 on the Blue White Players show.
Love it.
Right here on 98.7 The Fox. Everything that, we talk about that team, and I got to know you guys then, and you were actually on the show back in the day in your Rose Bowl year, and Aeneas was telling me, like, dude, these guys, they're not going to lose again. Like the leadership will not let them lose again. And from what I have seen so far about this year's team, it is very, very, very similar on the leadership front.
It is a lot of older guys, and that's what that Rose Bowl team was.
And this is your class. These are your guys.
Absolutely.
You and Doc, what, a year apart?
Yep.
Yeah,
Nick Doc. Obviously, Devontae Thomas is a 6th-year guy. A couple. We have 3 6-years on the defensive line. A group that where we have a ton of depth at. Yeah, man. No, I think you're right. I mean, the season's not over, and I know it feels like that for a lot of Penn State fans this morning, but there is a lot that we can do where this game, like I said, is not really remembered as much as we think it might be. I just think it's hard because I know fans wanted to get over the hump. I know, it gets tiring losing the same team. And Franklin said that. He said, look, I get it. He said, the players are in there. I understand you're frustrated. Players are in the locker room even more frustrated. So, it's difficult. And I do think that there was, when you're inside the 5-yard line a couple times and you come away with 0 points both times, it hurts. And, just crazy stuff. The interception, Goon thinks it wasn't an interception. I think it was pretty clearly an interception, Goon, but I think the fumble that the refs called, that they originally ruled on the field
as a fumble,
then they came back and said it was.
And listen, I'm the last guy who complains about officiating, but you cannot make that call in the end zone like that. And it was at that point. It doesn't matter what point of the game it was, and this and that, but it's either an incomplete pass or incomplete pass because it was the ball's out of bounds. You know what I mean? To say it was an interception when they both had control of the ball, it was like, man. And the guy who comes up with it is the Ohio State guy. So, it's an interception. I'm like, what? I didn't see it personally, but the fumble, you're all right.
Well, and then we
transfers the ball over.
There was and then we had it was obviously couldn't stop shooting ourselves in the foot with 3rd down, jump off sides, and then obviously a taunting penalty and stuff like that. So I mean, penalties will kill you early on if you're committing penalties.
Thing, man.
That was ridiculous. I mean, he was already over top of him. It wasn't like, and you know how many times you see that throughout a game and it's not called. And like I said, if you want to call it by the book every single time, whatever. Is it technically taunting? Yeah, but like I said, how often do you see that, and how often do you not see that called? But I'm not going to be that guy that complains that said we lost because of the refs. But the refs were a factor yesterday. The refs did not help us. And come on, it wasn't like we didn't know that wasn't going to happen coming into this. I mean, please, we saw what happened last week to help out Ohio State against Nebraska. And then, like I said, I don't want to be that guy, but it's just they clearly did not help us in any way, and I think they hurt us a little bit. But
we're not going to sit here and complain about the referees. I get it.
No, I'm saying it was worth a mention because I do feel like it was a little bit one-sided to say the least.
Yes,
but and then Ohio State. They ran the ball really, really well. I'm not going to lie. Judkins and Henderson. That duo right there. They averaged 6.2 yards per carry on 24 carries. You're chugging away at a defense there, and that's hard to get off the field if you're Penn State when you're doing that, when every other run is a first down, essentially. And then also you're not running the ball. And I think that was something that was difficult too for Penn State. That's something they relied on a lot this year, was to be able to run the ball in the first 5 games, going over 200 yards in every game on the ground. And then, we struggled. It was the first, I think it was easily the best defense we have seen up to this point. Singleton Allen averaged 2.3 yards per carry on 18 carries. And so, it's hard to get the run game going when you're not able to get those explosives. And I guarantee that's, Coach Franklin's message in the meeting. I don't know the exact numbers, but I just think by the eye test, Ohio State beat Penn State in the explosive play battle. And that's something that Coach Franklin definitely emphasizes a lot. But, can't sit here and dwell on it too much. The players
that was a big thing with Ohio State was their offensive line play.
Yeah.
And they were coming in hurt and this and that, and they handled. Losing Sutton hurt us yesterday, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I thought Abdul played very, very well, made some plays here and there, and not having that second guy out there really hurt. But I'm a little more upset, like our offensive line, and we're reading comments here, and our offensive line give up a lot of pressure to a Ohio State D line who has been struggling this year. That's been like their hallmark this year. They've always been, Coach Larry Johnson is obviously a former coach here for 20-some years and then Ohio State for the last 10, he had those guys balling yesterday. I mean, they put pressure on Drew early, often, and it was the 4-man pressure that we thought we could have protected against yesterday. And it really didn't, because Drew was getting, he got hit a couple times, sacked a couple times.
The first drive he rushed. He had to rush 3 different times.
Back, and then there's nobody. And again, it's a team sport. If your wide receivers aren't getting open, the quarterback can't throw the ball. It makes the offensive line look bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, what did you say off the air? And who was our leading rusher yesterday?
Our leading rusher was Tyler Warren.
Our tight end. Who was our leading?
Our leading receiver was Nick Singleton. So our leading rusher was our tight end. Our leading receiver was our running back. Yeah, that's not a great offensive game plan. I will say that.
It was a great offensive game plan, or they got shut down.
Well, they got shut down. Well, that's part of it too. Is we talk about this, fun, kind of cute, creative offense. It works so well because the defense was worried about the run. Like I said, think about up until the bye week. So after USC, we averaged about 200 yards per game rushing through the first. So what is that through the first 5 or 6 weeks? It has been, I need to look at the numbers, but trust me, it has drastically dropped. And that's why the offense's production as a whole has dropped, because when you can't run the ball, it closes off a lot of the rest of the offense. They start to stack the box. You can't run, you can't stretch the field. And if you're not, winning deep with your wide receivers, well, starts to kind of hurt you there. But I told this on my pregame show on Friday at Campus Stakes, but I do have to mention that I have a really good Larry Johnson story. That how I got an offer from Ohio State. So back freshman year, I think I tell you this.
I love it.
I think
it's
one of my favorite stories. So back freshman year high school, I'm at St. Vincent Pallotti High School in Maryland.
And I already met you a year before.
Yes, Goon had already met me when I was a little 8th grader. And
locking 4-star defensive ends out that are going in their senior year in high school. This is the story. This is not a lie. I was given a phone call by Mark Brennan from 24/7 Sports. Calls me and says, "Dude, come to the football camp this afternoon." I said, "What? Why do I want to go to a freaking football camp?" And he's like, "Dude, there's an 8th grade kid there, and he is dominating 4-star defensive end, top recruits in the country right now." I said, "Get the hell out of here!" And lo and behold, I go up there, a young, tattoo-less.
It's true. I'd hope. I was only like 14.
A little wet behind the ear, Tangwell behind there, just locking dogs out. It was great.
I had longer hair too. So that following spring, I go to visit Ohio State. And at the time, our team was good. I was roommates and teammates with Blake Corum. And then Keziah Izzard was there. And also Chase Young's little cousin, right, was in my grade. So we go and visit Ohio State. And I already have like 20 offers at this point. I have Penn State, but I don't have Ohio State. I don't have Bama, those big ones yet. And so I meet with Urban Meyer and all that good stuff. And he was, kind of how he is, everybody says he is, it was a little of a bit of a weird, weird, just kind of talks down to you. It was like, okay, I'm not interested in this.
You want to come here? It's like, whoa.
It was like, whoa,
you recruit me, buddy.
Yeah, you're recruiting me. I don't know what this is. So I was not a big fan. I leave. I'm like, man, this isn't what I like at all. I'm not digging Urban Meyer. But of course I wanted the offer because I was a 15-year-old and I wanted as much popularity as possible, as any 15-year-old does nowadays. And so we were up there visiting Chase. It was Chase Young's birthday, going into his final season. We're there for the spring game. I do all that. I meet with Urban Meyer. I meet Emmitt Smith. He was in there right before me with his son. I forget where his son goes now. Some school, I think, out west somewhere. But Emmitt Smith was in there visiting with his son. And so next thing I know, Chase Young has 4.5 sacks in the spring game. That was before he just continued to wreak havoc on us and other teams all year. I think that was 2018, maybe 2019. And then
what year is it now?
20.
What?
Yeah, not doing as well anymore. But Chase, he helped me out with. So we finished the game. We go back to Chase's place. We're celebrating, his birthday. He had 4.5 sacks. He's going to be a top 5 pick. And Chase comes over and he kind of, I've talked to him once now. He knows about my recruitment and that they haven't offered me. And he's like, "So they offer you today?" And I said, No, they didn't offer me. He's like, "What?" I said, "All right, hold up." And he pulls out his phone. So he goes over and he calls Larry Johnson, who was the defensive line coach at Ohio State and obviously coached here at Penn State for a long time and was my recruiting area coach because he recruits the DMV, the Maryland region.
Good man.
Very good man. Love LJ. I've never gotten to meet. I
Not-
never gotten to meet LJ Jr., but I've gotten to meet LJ. I have a really good relationship with LJ throughout my recruitment period. And so Chase Young calls him and says, you need to come over here and offer Landon right now. He puts the phone down. I get a text like 15 minutes later. It's LJ. He's like, yo, come out here. You have an offer to Ohio State. Rolls away. Never talked to, really didn't talk to him much more, and never talked to Urban Meyer ever again. So
Aeneas the other night, what he was talking about?
no,
He was
oh
getting recruited by
yeah.
Ohio State.
When he got disrespected,
He turned around and I heard Urban Meyer say, "Who was that? Or who is that?" Like, come on, man.
who is that?
You know what I mean? Like, wow.
Poor Aeneas Hawkins, our guy. How much do these losses impact recruiting? Is someone asked in the comments?
I mean, I heard there was over 1,000 recruits here between all of the sports.
Yeah.
And then what a great atmosphere. I mean, when you came here for the whiteout, right? Did we win?
We did. It was 2019 Michigan. That's what I was saying. That was probably the last big.
That was the amazing one.
Yeah, that was the timeout on the first play. Yeah, dude, that was a crazy time. I was pretty much already committed to Penn State, but
come here. We got a vet shirt. I like it. Absolutely. You were in that prison, weren't you? Don't lie to me. Seamus put you in jail. What the hell were we talking about?
Well, we were talking about recruiting.
The whiteout.
Whiteout.
How many guys do you know that come to a whiteout and like, this is what I came here for?
Yeah, absolutely, a ton.
But then how many have we won? We don't have a winning record in the whiteout.
No.
So, I mean, there's obviously guys who come here in the atmosphere and they're like, I want to be part of this. But if we lose the game, they're still going to come here. You know what I mean? Yeah, I get it. That it's not a good look. And Ohio State, I guarantee you, calling all the people that are recruiting Penn State and Ohio State, they're calling all those kids. They see that game, you see the score, or all the kids. I mean, the recruiting thing wasn't like a game day thing back when I was a kid. So, like you, did you go to like college games, multiple college games
growing up?
No. I mean, as a recruit. Did you go to different games and then because there's
the unofficial
visits?
Yeah,
I
went to. I would go to a ton of different games.
We had only had official visits. That's all we could do, but we really couldn't do them during games because we had our own games. So 1 week, I mean, my buddy's kid plays at Michigan, so he's like 1 week we're at Iowa, and then the next week we're at Michigan, but Michigan's playing Iowa, and I could see the opposing, the Iowa people across the field are looking at my kid like, "What are you doing?" You know what I mean? And then he went to Ohio State and Wisconsin, the same thing. It was just like, so how? I mean, when you were getting cross recruited, like Larry, if he was recruiting you, and then they beat Penn State that year, did they? Most likely, yeah.
Yep.
So,
every time.
Yeah. So did he call you and say, well, what do you mean you're going to Penn State? We just kicked the crap out of them. You know what I mean? I mean, how did that go down?
No, he really didn't. The only I'm trying to think the biggest one I had. I remember I was already committed to Penn State, and it was COVID time. And I remember after Maryland whooped up on us in COVID in 2020 at Beaver Stadium, I wish I'd
hit the freaking lube wall that day and forget that one.
That was a really bad day. I was mad.
Too, I think.
Really?
Yeah,
because it was like later in the season. We started the season, a lot later. And I remember later that week after Maryland beat us, Coach Loxley from Maryland FaceTimed me with Tulia and was like laughing about how bad we were to me. And I was a Penn State recruit already. I mean, I was already at this point in time because I committed in April, and I know this is October, November.
That infuriated you, right?
Oh, it made me angry. And I was just one of those people. I wasn't at all like not entertaining anybody, but he just wanted to give me a call. He was trying to try to recruit me because he knew I was home.
I know what he's doing, but it's classless, but that it's
it was bad. And
there's
a reason Maryland. We're very sad about what just happened yesterday. But look at the situation we're in, and Maryland is in that situation. So that is why clearly it didn't work very well. And that was I'll never forget.
That's exactly what I was asking. Is there that type of negative recruiting? It's not negative.
There is negative. Yeah,
that is recruiting.
Not necessarily.
We just beat them.
It definitely. I think it turns a lot of recruits off when coaches do that, put down other schools to kind of prop themselves up. But recruiting, it's a dirty game, and now it's even dirtier. There's a lot of money involved where there was before, but now it's legal, and that's where it starts to get a little crazy. Goon.
Don't start with the money.
I know. You were eating slop, 50 cent. You had like 2 nickels to rub together. Go down to the dining hall.
As long as you realize it, I don't care. We got through it. I'm just worried. I did have a
It's a
conversation.
bad life that you guys live,
No,
kind
it
of.
wasn't.
Kind of.
We lived like Spartans. We trained. They trained us in basements and beat us, and then we went out and won football games. So,
Yeah, it's a good feeling. Hey, you were winning.
Yeah. That was the key, obviously. So, we were talking about money and stuff like that. I mean, I did have a conversation with you this weekend with somebody pretty important, but important not here. He knows other people around the country and athletic directors and stuff like that. So he made a comment to me, and I said, "Jesus, I didn't think about that." So, you guys, the guys. I don't know how to say this. I mean, with the NIL money coming in, the profit sharing that's going to happen, and your cost above and beyond scholarship money. Guys are going to leave here, and this is what this guy said. He said, "Are we really doing these kids justice? We're getting these kids." He's like, "There's not a higher percent of these kids going to the NFL. It's the same percent going to the NFL, but that percent that does not go to the NFL is living that six-figure lifestyle, and then they're going to leave college, and then they're going to have to go work a menial job. They're not going to get six figures right off the get."
Yeah,
Are we helping kids by just spoiling them and giving them this money and this false sense of, well, this is easy. I'm set for life. Because are they being taught like, hey man, this is just for now. You need to worry about this going forward because, like me, like you, we're both busted up. We both had to retire because of injuries and stuff like that. And then, so were we taught a lifestyle 6-7 figures, and then we have to go out, and then now boom, you have zero. Now you're starting from nothing.
That's a really interesting conversation because you think of it like this. Everybody thinks they're going to the NFL, right? When you're in college.
Everybody. That has to be the mindset. If you don't have that mindset, I don't want to play with you.
And exactly. So your thought process is now that's your thought process. And then now you have the money. So it's like, oh, I might as well spend it. I'm going to make it to the league anyways. So you can't tell anybody, hey, you have to save it because in their mind, I'm going to the league anyways. So why do I don't need to save
you're
it.
in college and you're getting six figures, and it's like,
oh my God, that's unlimited.
Beautiful F-150 truck.
Dude,
it's absolutely loaded in this and that. It's a $780 car payment, which is fine when you're making six figures, and then boom, you're done. And then it's like, hey man, you owe a car payment next month.
Yeah, dude, it is.
Are we doing the kids justice by giving them this kind of money? And it was a conversation I had yesterday, and it was 36 beers deep, and I was like, whoa, I looked like an ogre. I was like, that's deep, dog. That's deep. But I mean, let's get back to the game. I mean,
yeah.
God,
well, here's what I'll say:
just
three penalties for 25 yards in the first quarter, and a couple of those being on third down. I mean, it's just absolutely. That's killer. And there's a couple times Will Howard missed his guys. He had Smith and Tate two different times that he either underthrew or the wide receiver kind of lost the ball in the sun. But there was a couple of times that we really got beat deep. So I still think there is kind of that. It feels like up to this point, Penn State has struggled a little bit against really good skill players, whether that's Ohio State. I mean, USC was a little bit of a step down, but you still saw there was times on like that end around situation where they took it 75 yards to the house at USC, and just kind of similar stuff here where they were getting outside in the run game, getting Judkins and Henderson the ball. And that speed option, that little pitch option, they got us on that twice, both times for 20-yard plus gains. And when they are gashing you in the run game and then also being kind of consistent, and on the flip side, you can't run the ball. It's not only that you can't run the ball, so now you can't really you can't control the clock very well. And you also close off a big piece of your offense, which Drew was really good in that. I mean, you think back to last week, that play action game in the first half. Now, there was a couple times we had drop passes, just a couple different situations. But because the run game was humming so quickly last week, Drew, the play action game was there for Drew in that first half. And then I was excited to see what we're going to come back, take some deep shots off of that. But, coming into this game, you can't run the ball. It takes away a huge part of your offense that you can't rely on really. So, man, it's hard. Yeah, we are obviously, I think it's hard to put too much of the blame on Drew. If your wide receivers aren't winning down the field and
going to Bo a little earlier,
I don't know. I think and I said this, I think that's the hardest thing for Kotonicki, because think of this, if you're Bo Prabula from your standpoint, the offense that you've been in, you run a play at quarterback and you might not take another snap for a quarter and a half. So mentally, you're going in there, I have to have a good play. I have to have a good play. This is going to dictate how I feel for the next hour. It has, because, when you're out there for a whole game, you're not fixated on one. I mean, unless you really get whooped and it's like a strip sack fumble thing. Unless it's that, you're not, fixated on just one random little play. But that's what Bo had to deal with, because Bo was only getting, one play here and then a quarter and a half go by, then finally get another play. So it's hard to get into a rhythm if you're Bo Prabula.
Well, look what happened last week. He goes into the game, fumbles the first snap, then has to delay a game.
It took him some time.
Get in the flow, man.
And then he settled in, and then Bo started to look really good against Wisconsin. But I think that's why it's so hard for Andy Kotonicki, is it's like he doesn't obviously succeed super well when we're just like splashing him in here or there. He needs to get into a rhythm, but you can't take away a series away from Drew Aller, who's when I think playing at his highest level is a top 10 pick next year. And I think some people would even, like, oh, you're funny for saying that. I mean, I'm just telling you the intangibles he's had, the way he's making plays with his legs. But look, when it's just not there downfield, it's not there. Drew just can't magically have guys make plays for him. I mean, he tried to.
If he throws a bad ball, he needs a guy to make a great catch.
Yeah, we don't have. I mean, Tyler Warren's going to always do that. For him.
Other than Tyler Warren, and then go back to like the with Prabula. I mean, you and I played offensive line. You can be as nervous as hell all you want and not ready to play in that game. But guess what's going to happen? That first play, you're going to get hit, smacked across the face, shoulder pads are banging down, and guess what? I'm in. You're into the game. You know what I mean? You're Bo. They're going to bring you in. You don't have a feel for the game. You got a little nervousness and this and that, and then, you run a play, and then they're running you out. You can't get into the flow of the game. Like as offensive lineman, that was the easiest thing. It's like, you just that first hit, get that first hit out of the way, and then everything makes it a little bit easier. And you're right, it has got to be tough for a quarterback to get one play every quarter. Give him a series, but you don't want to take that series away from Drew Aller. But has Prabula's performance against Wisconsin, did he not earn a series or two in the first half?
I think so, but like I said, I don't know. I mean, that's so difficult. I mean, clearly
you don't want Aller sitting there saying, I'm the guy. You don't want the last thing you want is your quarterback looking over his shoulder. That's an old tradition. You don't want nobody looking over your shoulder like, okay, is this guy coming for my job? Of course he is. And they're going to give him more and more plays and this and that. So Drew, he might start feeling a little bit down on his performance or trying to rush it or trying to overperform, rather than, I get you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But if Bo gives a spark to the offense, give him a series or two. It's
been
done before.
If Tyler Warren didn't have that 33-yard run, then Drew Aller would have been the leading rusher for the day. So it's not even like we talk about
11 yards.
He had 10 rushes for 31 yards. I mean, 10 rushes. That means that you are dropping back and you are not seeing anything. You're having to do something with your
10
legs.
Rushes
And
where our receivers did not get open for him to be able to throw that ball.
Exactly,
or he got instant pressure and had to take off.
Yeah. And that's what we saw. I mean, and
a lot of blame to go around here, Bubba.
No, there is. It's everywhere, and I think that's okay. It's not at all on one person. I mean, you can go anywhere on defense, offense. Obviously with penalties. I mean, it's there is enough to go around, and it sucks because we're still that close. No matter what, everything that happened, refs, penalties, how we feel about this call or that call. We get down there first and goal at the 3, and you're just not able to punch it. And I think that defines the game of Ohio State just being more physical, honestly. I mean, that's what it is, first and goal at the 3. And we ran it 3 times. I think people said, whatever, Kotonicki got cued on the last play. Well, I mean, you run it 3 times and you don't really get any yards. I would try to pass it too, because you're not. I was
literally up at like 3 a.m. I was watching a replay, and I'm watching, and there was absolutely zero push on that goal line stand.
Yeah,
absolutely zero push, nothing. Actually, the line of scrimmage actually may have gone back a yard.
No, it did.
And you're going to have our running backs trying to jump over, run through, and there's just carcasses everywhere. Again, there's a lot of blame to go around. Everybody's got eat a little piece of that sandwich, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I will say, people ask, why do we not get it to Tyler Warren? That 4th and goal play was a pick route to Tyler Warren in the flats. And you know what I said before the game? Those little pick routes, and Penn State does a lot of pick routes, meaning a wide receiver, another wide receiver, a tight end is basically trying to block, get in the way of the other DB, and kind of just pick, set a pick like in basketball. Try to get you a little open. And it
called
is
rubs.
Yeah, rub routes, pick routes. Yeah.
Called a pick, it's illegal.
Well, that's true. That is illegal. You can rub. Yes, a lot of rub, and that's what we've done to Tyler Warren in the red zone, and so that's what we went to. But guess what? That little rub route that is wide open against Kent State, well, guess what? It's only a half a yard open against Ohio State, and if the linebacker Ransom was closing in on it, they knew exactly, and it looked like they knew what they wanted. I mean, that was a lot of what we saw. It was like, okay, I think Ohio State, they know what we're trying to do here. They kind of have an idea. They clearly studied the tape well. And shout out to Jim Knowles, Ohio State's defensive coordinator. He had to come into this game really prepared for a lot of different things between Tyler Warren, Bo Pribula, and Drew Aller all at quarterback. And Andy Kotelnicki's creative offense was kind of shut down. I mean, and just watching some of the plays where we do like read option, we do triple option stuff and throw into the flats to Tyler Warren and some other guys, and it just wasn't there. And that's why Drew Aller had to take off so much.
That started with the front four. I mean, this is, we'll get into the logistics of it. Front four at Ohio State, they've had problems the whole year getting pressure with four. So there was big issues at Ohio State. Was there an issue with Larry Johnson and Knowles? Was there, is there something going on there? Is it, do they want to blitz more and Larry won't allow it type of thing? But guess what they did yesterday? They got pressure with four. It's a lot easier to do that with run pressure and pass pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, we're trying to run an option and you got a werewolf defensive end bearing down on you. You're not going to want to run that option too much, otherwise you're not going to have Drew Aller anymore.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. I guess it's hard.
Games. Time to move on, boys.
Yeah.
And
no,
girls.
I mean, we got 9 minutes left. Let's talk a little bit about kind of the rest of the season where we sit. Yep. So we go Washington at home, whiteout. And I'd say the Washington game next week, I would be a little bit more nervous. Obviously, Washington hitting their stride, but 8 p.m. whiteout in Beaver Stadium, I think we could get our groove back against that Washington team, because as much as, yes, they're hitting their stride and they're looking good, that's still a team you can blow out, especially if you're at home in a whiteout.
Watch out for being complacent and saying, woe is me. I mean, you've lived the 1-0 lifestyle.
Well, listen, I'll tell you.
Is that a big thing? I mean, it's harped on.
I'll tell you what, I was in, it's a great comparison of 2021 to 2022. And in 2021, when we lost to Iowa, that was it. We didn't have the leadership. We didn't have a strong enough leadership. It wasn't there, and we kind of just packed it up. And then we lost to Illinois and then Michigan State, and the season went downhill. Now in 2022, when we lost to Michigan and Ohio State, it was a very different feeling, and it was, we're not going to let this affect us. We're going to keep playing our game.
Had a prize.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
You won out. The prize was the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, the prize. Yeah, we knew that it was probably the Rose Bowl. Absolutely,
and we had, now, I think.
Yeah, and we had, and it was leadership. It was a 60-year Sean Clifford. It was Jair Brown, who's killing in the league. It was PJ Mustafer. The guys we had on that roster meant so much to that team.
That's what I was telling you.
And
when I met you first, as a player here, on the Blue White Player Show, that was the feel I got. And Aeneas is like, bro, they're not gonna let this affect them. Like, that locker room is too strong. And what you're saying is the similarities are the in-house leadership.
Absolutely.
Because there's an eye on the prize at the end of the year, and that still is playoff. We can still attain every goal you set for yourself. And if the goal's on a national title, get the hell out of here. We don't want you. I mean, that better be the goal every year,
Damn sure should be.
So it's still there. Everything is still there at their fingertips, and it's going to take guys to step up in that locker room. Nick Dawkins is saying, get in somebody's face if they're dogging it in practice this week, and be like, hey, maybe that's why we lost last week, And you had that leadership.
Yeah, and you got to have some honest conversations with guys in the locker room, and then you also got to have some honest conversations in the mirror with yourself. I mean, those are the real teams that get tested. I'll just tell you, I'll never forget high school, and when I played in a very competitive league, we'd have 4 teams inside the top 25 in the nation. And I'll never forget, we lost to one of the really good teams. And we lost to St. John's. They had Rakim Jarrett. He was the wide receiver for Maryland. Yeah, we lost to St. John's in the regular season. Yes.
That's what happens, buddy.
And then, dude, we had a meeting, and we were like, we're not going to allow anybody to come out of uniform, because, high school guys would come out and kind of wear whatever sometimes. And we said, we're going to have this thing. We're going to run a tight ship, and it's over. And we did that. We went on. We did not lose another game. We beat Gonzaga, who had Olu Fashanu and Caleb Williams at quarterback, destroyed them in the playoffs by like 35 points, and then went on to beat the St. John's team we lost to in the championship. Yeah. But really, I'm just saying that
was there. You guys knew what they were still a goal this season.
Any team you've been a part of, I'm sure you can speak for the 94 team. it feels different. So, I mean, that's up to the players and how they want to respond to this, because you're right. There is an opportunity here. Maybe like I'm saying, I don't want to be at all negative Nancy, but if you want to fall apart, it's possible when you have a Washington team.
Here.
Yeah. And then a good at Minnesota team where that's USC got smacked in the mouth out there. So you got to be careful if you're Penn State. You got to make sure you're coming into this week with the correct mindset, and you can't you got to put this behind you. After you finish today, the guys are getting into the facility here in the next couple hours. They're going to be in there till basically 6:30 tonight.
Than them.
Yeah.
The people in that Lash building right now, no one's feeling worse than them.
You don't want to show your face, really.
Here we go, right now. You played offensive line. I played offensive line. The old adage is, if you get beat one play, you've got to forget about it. Because if that is on your mind, guess what's going to happen?
You're going to get beat again.
Next play, you're going to get beat again. And now you're compounding, and you're not able to come back from that. You got to have a short memory when it comes to losses, especially specifically an offensive line play. You just got to go out there and ball. So if you're going to we cannot, and this is why we need the internal leadership of these seniors. You cannot let one loss turn into two losses turn into four, because it can easily happen. I've seen it happen to us in 1992. They start compounding, and then it's like, well, what am I doing here? Why am I doing all of this? Again, I go right back. It's going to take about 5 or 6 guys in that locker room, and it doesn't matter. It could be a young guy. It could be a much younger guy who really, is playing, but he's going to go out there and say he's not going to let that happen. We're not going to let this team go away. I have, faith in Nick Dawkins. Big boy in the locker room walking around. He's not going to let this team quit. Right? You've
100%. No, it is. It is. This is where you lean on your leadership, and this is where it can't really come from the coaches. I'm going to be honest. I mean, it does. It starts with the coaches,
internal.
But yeah, it is on these players, the older guys in that locker room, to not let this go the wrong way from here on out.
What do you want your legacy to be?
We
were number 3 team in the country who finished 9-3 in a regular season. Right?
Yeah.
What do you want? Or do you want to go 11-1, go to a playoff game, probably host a playoff game, and that atmosphere we saw yesterday would be double if there's a playoff game here.
Yeah, I can't even think about it.
Talked about this
a lot,
December
and it's
21st.
I know my graduation is going to get pushed back since Beaver Stadium will likely have a playoff game. So
you have a graduation?
Yeah, I'm graduating in December, and it was announced. I think when they announced college football playoffs, they said Penn State put out an announcement. If Penn State has a playoff game, then we will push graduation. I don't know what date.
I thought they automatically pushed it, because you can't just reserve Bryce Jordan Center.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. I don't know. I think it is. It's like an automatic push. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but it sounds like I'll be waiting an extra. I don't know.
Will you walk?
I mean, probably. I hope so. Looking at the Canvas grades right now. No, yeah, I will walk here in I guess about a month and a half. Could be a little bit more. Never went. I honestly,
none of us really did.
Let me be honest, I don't really have any desire. What's crazy? Shout out to Student Bookstore. They do have cap gowns. You got to come on down here if you are graduating here in the wintertime or in the spring. Come on down to the Student Bookstore. The Nittany Lion mascot is
almost
here, ready to go.
The line is
taking pictures, kissing babies. He is probably the most popular guy in town, especially after yesterday. Sorry, got everybody's, no one hates the Nittany, no one's ever going to boo the Nittany Lion mascot.
Oh, man.
Sorry.
Oh, I've heard that he changed his appearance a little bit.
He did. And people were, it seems like people were very accepting.
We just don't like change around here.
Right? Yeah, no, Penn State is not a very big change place. I think that is one thing I've learned in my I've only been here for 4 years, which is crazy. I feel like I know this place. It's probably funny talking to you, who's been here. You've been here for more of your life than you haven't been here, right?
This past year, I hit that mark.
Oh.
So, yes, I've been here the most. No, yes. But I figured I've been here now. I moved here in 2005, so it's 19 years right now. And my 5 years here. So it's 24 years. I'm going to be 52 next week. So,
wow.
It's the longest I've lived in one place, because before that was at home. Before coming here, I was 18. But now that I've lived here for 19 years, this is the longest place I've lived in one spot ever.
Huh. Okay. Well, I'll be here for a while with you.
I could have changed your diaper back when you were born.
When you were the
young
strength
little
coach
buck,
here.
buddy. Young buck.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that about wraps it up for the Behind the Wall post-game show. Me and Goon. Yeah.
I know you were a little distraught, man.
It was a rough one yesterday. That was sad. But
I got to keep the big cat happy. Come on now.
It's all right. You know what? Like Goon said, the sun came up this morning. There's still NFL football to look forward to. So
don't get me wrong. I'm not happy.
No,
I'm very upset that we lost in that situation. But the sun rose. It's time to move on. We get to Washington. We win out. We got a playoff game.
absolutely, Goon.
If we get a playoff game, will you wear one of those striped under overalls?
I will.
Topless.
I will absolutely get it here from the student bookstore, man. We will.
Will you wear it topless?
Topless. I will. I don't care how cold it is.
If I get a pair of 4X, I'd wear it with you.
All right. We'll put in a special order. We're gonna have it like hand stitched.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
It'd be
we'll get that done.
Off blue, like beige, white. Like, the hell is this thing?
What is it? Yeah, that would make like a makeshift overall
Halloween costume growing up. You're like, oh, this is great, Grandma.
Oh man, well, we appreciate you guys tuning in. We have the whiteout next week. It should be a big one. Coming at all your whiteout merch here at the student bookstore downtown. The Nittany Lion mascot is here, so come on out if you're around at In-State College. But me and Goon, we'll talk to you guys next Sunday morning. We'll be back here again, 10 a.m. Appreciate you guys tuning in.
Post-birthday, post-tailgate, whiteout.
Let's do it.
Woo!